Dunkirk. Well, this is a first. The last British stand on European soil, the Allies being surrounded into a corner, Dunkirk. The French holding the line long enough for hopefully 400,000 British soldiers to evacuate. This is a story divided up in three different perspectives: the mall, the sea, and the air. The mall tells the count of soldiers on the beaches, the British soldiers, and some French, managing to hold their own against the constant fear of bombardment and being overrun by the Germans who surround them. This chapter takes place over the span of a week. The sea, the count of the collectivized effort of civilians and merchant ships, boats to rescue and evacuate the soldiers of Dunkirk. This takes place over the span of a day. The air, a small group of three Royal Air Force aviators overseeing the ships and protecting them from bombardment and attacks. This event takes place over the span of 1 hour. What I just read to you was a brief description of the chapters. The true beauty of this movie, what makes this movie click, is the characters themselves. The way the soldiers interact with the civilians, and the way they interact themselves with the conflict surrounding them, the constant pressure and bombardment, the differences of opinion, the self preservation and survival of each one of them kicking in, the way the viewer sees it from the perspective of soldiers and the civilians, the way one of the pilots has problems measuring his fuel gauge, conflicting with himself with the decision of either going to the beach, going to Dunkirk, or returning back to the base. The soldiers inside the trawler ship faced with the decision that they might have to kick one member out in order to save the group, or the ship sinks. Either that, or the civilian ship facing bombardment, or the soldiers at the beach facing the constant desperation of the Germans inching closer and closer. Each single one of those characters, the way they're presented, they feel like a person. They have dreams, they have aspirations, they have fears, they have embarrassments, they have goals. They don't feel like NPCs. They feel like real people. One prime example of this, shown in the movies early on, the soldier Cillian Murphy plays when he's found by the old man and the two boys going into Dunkirk. The way the soldier shows fear of being shell shocked, of facing a torpedo. He might never be normal again. Not wanting to go back to Dunkirk yet, he just found himself at this ship of civilians, of his only way home, going exactly where he doesn't want to go into Dunkirk. You don't know the type of man you are until you're put in an extreme situation. Some falter, some fall, and some thrive in it. Nolan, he did a great job capturing this element in his movie, which I think is what makes this movie click, and the way he captures the spirit of the British people during such a time. Not only the soldiers, but the civilians. The way the civilians answer the evacuation call, the volunteering. Man, I must congratulate the British people. Nolan also showed they showed true determination and tenacity in the face of adversity. truly a miracle. I haven't even mentioned how well produced this movie is. Despite the lack of dialogue, you can feel the atmosphere and the characters. Like I said, truly in a situation like that though, if you truly have the need to speak, when fearing constant bombardment and being at the mercy of your enemies, what words must be said? Every man is for their own. Instinct and self-conservation kicks in. Props to Nolan and the character cast, truly. This couldn't have been done with neither one of them. They did a great job, and congrats for making a great product of a movie, Dunkirk. Oh, one last thing. I would like to end this video with this quote from Winston Churchill. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence, growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And even if, which I do not for a moment believe, this island, or a large part of it, were subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, will carry on the struggle, until in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old. Thank you.